Hey guys, how's it going? I thought I would just hop on here and give you guys a quick little update on how our dahlias are doing. I've been getting a lot of messages and you guys are asking how to deadhead them, how ours are doing. So I thought it would just be easy just to show you guys a quick little update. And we'll do another update towards the end of the season. But a lot of you did ask how I deadhead mine. So I wanted to show you how I do that, because the more you deadhead them, the more you're gonna, or the more blooms you're going to get. So let me turn my camera around. Let me show you how they're doing, and I'll show you the process of how I harvest and how I deadhead our dahlias to make sure that we continuously have blooms all summer long. So here we go. All right, here they are. So if you guys recall, we did plant about 30 of them here, and then I went ahead and planted some more off camera. We planted, I think, a total of, I don't know, I think it was a little over 100, but most of them we did give to friends and family. I did have some in containers that I planted into the landscape, or that I started in containers and then planted into the landscape. And I do think I have about 11 or 12 more in containers that I think I actually might plant right along the side over here next to where these trees are that need to go into the ground. So just don't mind the chaos going on over there. So we did get most of our tubers from Swan Island Dahlias, and then there were some others that we picked up at a couple of local nurseries here. And I am just so happy with how they are. And I will throw the ones that are blooming, and I am going to get an up close shot of, I will go ahead and throw their names up on the screen for you guys, but just look at this beauty right here. And I know we planted, like I said, I think over a little 100, but you guys, I seriously want like another 100. If I can fit another 100 back here, then I am definitely going to next year. So I'm like thinking about rearranging this whole area. But let me just go in and show you guys a little bit of a close-up on some of these and just how stunning they are. I mean, I know the lighting is kind of harsh right now, but oh my gosh, look at this cafe au lait. Hold on, let me zoom in here. Look at that beauty. Isn't that just so magnificent? Oh my gosh, and look at this one over here. This is one of our cactus dahlias, and it is blooming its little head off. Like, I can't keep up with it. It's incredible. So most of them are doing well. All of the ones that we planted did come up, which is fantastic. Okay, so here's from this angle, and this, let me show you guys this little jitterbug one right here. This is just the sweetest little dahlia. This one stays or only grows about 3 feet tall, so it's a miniature one, and it is so darling. I love it. Look at this one too. Oh my gosh, it is so gorgeous. I can't stand it. It's so beautiful. So we have been feeding ours the more blooms, and I mentioned that in our second video that I'll link down below if you missed that one. But I have been using that, and it's been the fertilizer that I used last year and the year before, and it works so fantastic with dahlias. I never have a problem. Like I said, most of ours did come up. There was like 2 or 3 that didn't come up for whatever reason, but we did plant a lot, so I'm pretty thrilled with that outcome of them. And again, we did plant them with Biotone starter fertilizer, and that was it. And then a month after, we started feeding it with the more blooms, and we feed them every 2 weeks with the more blooms. So, and that's all I've been doing. I've been weeding them. I've been putting slug bait down, so we haven't had any attacks on them, which is so great, because that can always be such an issue. Let me show you this one over here called Rip City. It is magic. Look at how gorgeous this flower is. I mean, if you love dark colors, like if you're a bride and you're getting married like during this time and you're going with kind of like a moody bouquet, like this is your flower right here. Like if you're looking for those burgundy colors, oh my gosh. You know what? Maybe we should do a bridal bouquet in one of our arrangement videos. What do you guys think? And maybe use some of these dahlias in it. I think that would be so beautiful. So let me show you guys how I deadhead them. I did leave some on that are pretty spent to show you guys when I deadhead mine and then when I harvest them. Okay, so here's a perfect example where we're going to be deadheading some of the spent blooms. So you can see this one over here, this bloom right here, this is a pretty new bloom. You can tell by the petals are still intact. There's not a lot of discoloration on this one versus this one over here. This is a pretty spent bloom and you will see some of the petals just falling off. And I always just kind of like to touch the bottom and you can see like they're just kind of falling off on their own. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut this all the way down. Let's see. Oops, there's a little spider. Okay, so this is the bloom and it goes all the way down to about here. So I'm going to be cutting it as close to the bottom of the next branching as I can. That way it's going to continue producing more blooms and allowing the other blooms that are attached to it to bloom quicker. So I will go ahead and just take some nice clean shears and cut it right over here at the bottom. So you don't want to deadhead at the top because first of all, that's not going to look very pretty and this is going to die back down anyway. So just cut it all the way down to the next set of blooms. So again, I'm just going to follow that stem all the way down and cut it right where it connects with the other stem, just like that. So this stem over here can still continue blooming, although I probably will harvest this one today, just because it looks like it's about done. But yeah, that's how we do it. So just follow it all the way down to where it's meeting the next bloom and harvest it off, just like that. So here's another great example where if I were going to harvest any of these flowers, I would harvest probably at this stage. If you harvest at this stage, it's not going to open that much more. So I like to harvest right at their prime. So this is a good bloom. I might harvest this for a little bouquet. And then versus the one down here right below it, let me show you. Right here is already pretty spent. As you can tell, it's kind of browning in the back of it. It's, you know, it's kind of losing its color and it's curling a lot more inwards than the other ones. So again, I'm just going to follow that same process. I'm going to follow it all the way down to where it meets the other blooms and cut that off. So just like that, you can tell this one is pretty spent. I mean, I'm not that picky. I could just put this in a little vase and enjoy it for a couple of days, but if you want to get more vase life, you want to make sure that you're harvesting them where, you know, they just open up like this. Again, this one is pretty small and it's not that open and there's not that much coloring on it like the other ones do. So I would harvest at this stage versus this stage right here. So I did receive a question about how to get bigger blooms. If you want to get big blooms just like this one over here, you want to make sure you're buying the dinner plate varieties of dahlias because those are the big ones. So versus like the jitterbug that I showed you guys in the front, that only gets about 3 feet tall. This dahlia here can get upwards of 5 feet tall and it produces a lot of big blooms. I also have read in some in some flower forums that you can get bigger dahlia blooms if you don't pinch them off. So if you have like a dinner plate variety and you don't pinch it off like I showed you guys in the previous dahlia video, you could potentially get bigger blooms. You're just not going to get a lot of them. Me personally, I always pinch them off because I want to get more blooms instead of just, you know, huge flowers. So I pinch mine off and I like to select some of the dinner plate varieties. That way I do have big flowers if that's what you're looking for. So just keep that in mind when you're selecting your tubers for next year. If you want the big ones, then you want to select the dinner plate varieties because those get really, really big. So another question that I was asked was, when do you harvest your dahlias? So with any of my flowers, I always like to harvest in the early morning before it gets too warm outside. I start off with a nice clean bucket. So this is my little red bucket that I use to harvest all of my flowers. I always make sure it's nice and clean and then I fill it up with nice cold water. And as soon as I cut the flower, they go straight into the water. And I think that's something really important to do. And I know sometimes we can get distracted in the garden and we might cut our flowers and just kind of have them hanging out. But the sooner you can get them into the water, the better they're going to perform for you. So again, I just kind of have my process. I always start off with some nice clean shears, my clean bucket, cold water. I harvest, I put them in there, and if I have other garden chores to do, which, you know, I get distracted so easily, just like a squirrel. So I will just make sure that I have this part ready. That way, if I do, you know, end up doing something else in the garden before I'm ready to bring them in, at least they're sitting underwater, they're being hydrated, and they're not gonna get wilty or anything like that. So that's my process. All right, well, I hope that was insightful for you guys. I'm definitely going to be taking these dahlias in and maybe making a little arrangement for my mother-in-law. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down below, and make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to take you guys on a beautiful, beautiful tour that you won't want to miss. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.